up, you guys? This is Kenny Russian, and welcome to the Russian Mansion. I just want to congratulate you guys for taking massive action and commenting on that post. Now I'm going to share with you exactly how I was able to make $376,000 on one deal without using any of my own personal cash or credit. But before I do that, let me make sure I look good for the camera. Am I okay?
Yes, sir.
Let's get started. All right, you guys. With this particular strategy, there are 3 buckets. How many buckets? 3. The first bucket is banks and asset managers. The second bucket is landlords. And the third bucket is private equity funds. Let's repeat that. Banks, landlords, private equity funds. Now let me drill down and get into detail about that, all right? Banks and asset managers have portfolios homes of which they're trying to sell in order to be able to get rid of these toxic assets. Now, right now is not the best time to buy properties from banks, portfolios, unsanitized or sanitized tapes, whatever you want to refer to them as, because right now you can sell these properties at really good prices by going the traditional route, which is just giving it to a REO agent and allowing them to sell them off. Before, when the market crashed, banks were basically selling off these portfolio in whole in order to be able to get rid of these assets from their books. Not as many are available right now, but that's coming back because the market is making a correction. And because of that, we're going to see a lot more of these particular type of opportunities come on the market. The second bucket is landlords. In fact, right now, I'm negotiating to buy 156 properties from one person who accumulated this portfolio over the last 10 years, and they're exhausted and they're open to sell off this portfolio if I can negotiate a win-win deal for both of us. The third bucket is private equity funds. A lot of private equity funds, Blackstone, all those other kind of funds, came into the market back in the early 2010s. They bought these properties at discounted prices, and now guess what? They're trying to liquidate. Not all of them, but many of these private equity funds are now trying to liquidate because they do not want to hold on to these portfolios anymore. They just want to lend now. So there's 3 buckets: banks, landlords, private equity funds. Now on this particular deal, I was working with a landlord. This is a guy, his name was John, in Atlanta, Georgia. He's actually pretty active right now. He was retiring at that time. He built up these 38 homes. He decided he wanted to sell them, liquidate, cash out, take that money, and retire. But I just heard recently that he's back in the market again. So John actually didn't retire, but I got a fantastic deal. But here's how I was able to structure it. Now, I was the buyer, so Kenny is the buyer, and we're going to make this very simple. I don't like to confuse people, and that's why my students are very successful, because I dumb it down to make it very simple, okay? So I'm going to demystify this whole process of how you do this, and it's not hard. First thing, you got to source product. I was able to source product, number 1, source product from a guy named Marcus. Marcus lives in Atlanta, Georgia. He's a mortgage broker. He's a real guy. Marcus received an email from me indicating that I was looking to buy a portfolio of homes throughout the United States. He sent me an email. I responded back to Marcus. He said, hey, I know a guy named John who has 38 homes in West End of Atlanta, Georgia. I asked him, well, how much is he trying to sell these homes for? He told me the price was $1.1 million. Now, that's where we began, but that's not where we ended at. Number 2, after I was able to source that product, he sent me over that particular portfolio of homes. Now, here's what I did. I wanted to make sure that this wasn't some joker broker, somebody just sending me over a portfolio of homes that were not real. So what I did is I had my assistant drill down and check public appraiser's website or the tax assessor's website to determine exactly who owned this portfolio. It ended up being the same guy that Marcus told me about, John. So this was a real portfolio. I want to make sure by doing some due diligence that this portfolio was real by going to the property appraiser's website or tax assessor's office in your city. I was able to verify that John actually indeed had ownership of these particular homes. The third thing, make sure you never want to deal with joker brokers, because joker brokers will drive you crazy and they will waste your time. So make sure you do not deal with the people who do not own the portfolio, or if there's someone who's such as a seller's mandate cannot put you on the phone with a particular seller, then you want to make sure that you move on and work with someone else who can actually get the owner on the phone, and you can verify that they own the portfolio. That's very important, because if you don't use these steps and these strategies when you're trying to structure these deals, you're going to waste a whole lot of your time. You're not going to make any money. Number 4, connect directly with seller. Again, Marcus was able to connect me directly with John. Number 5, I had to sign a non-circumvention agreement with Marcus to make sure that I wouldn't circumvent him. So it's a non-circumvention, non-disclosure agreement. I signed that agreement. I sent it directly to Marcus. Now Marcus was very comfortable, and that's why he was able to put me on the phone with John. Number 6, we want to make sure that everybody gets paid. Marcus said, hey, I need to make at least $100,000. Well, I couldn't guarantee that Marcus is going to make $100,000 because I needed to negotiate with John first. So in the process of negotiating with John, he came from $1.1 million down to about $874,000, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So again, I was able to source a product. I was able to check and verify that John actually owned that product. I didn't deal with no joker brokers. Marcus was a real guy. I was able to connect directly with the seller. Marcus put me on the phone with the seller. I was able to engage in a non-circumvention, non-disclosure agreement directly with Marcus to protect him, make sure he felt comfortable, and I was able to negotiate the terms of a master fee agreement. That's how you get paid when you're structuring these deals as a broker or a seller's mandate or a buyer's mandate. So after that, I was able to connect directly with the seller, which is John. Now, we're going to go to the flip side now. I know I'm talking a little bit fast, but I want you guys to understand this. And we don't have all day to do this because I got other things to do right now. But I'm shooting this for you guys because I want to make sure that I honor what I told you I was going to do earlier today. So here we go. That's one side. Kenny's the buyer. He's dealing with John. He's dealing with Marcus. We're doing all these great things. On this side, now I have to find a buyer. Now, lucky for me, I always have cash buyers and people who are looking to buy a portfolio of homes from me. So because I had a Canadian hedge fund that's looking to penetrate and buy properties in Florida and Atlanta, I sent this portfolio that I received from Marcus directly to my Canadian buyers. Okay? Now this is where it really gets good, but I want you guys to make sure that you pay close attention. So I sent this portfolio over to my Canadian buyers. Here we go. Whenever you're dealing with buyers, now I already had Canadian buyers and I knew they was real, but whenever you're dealing with new buyers, you want to make sure that you vet them by making them send you over VPOF, verifiable proof of funds, indicate that they have the money in order to close on the deal. Number 2, after you verify that they have the money, then you want to send them over the portfolio. In this case, I sent that portfolio that I got from Marcus to the Canadians. Number 10, you gotta hype up the deal. You gotta say, hey man, listen, there's a lot of people who's interested in this portfolio. I need you to give me a quick answer as soon as possible because if not, I gotta sell it to somebody else. You gotta hype up and get interest in those people. And then number 11, they're gonna wanna do their due diligence. So you gotta give them some time to do their due diligence. What they're gonna do, they're gonna probably go out there and perform some BPOs, broker's price opinions, or they're gonna do comps in-house, or they may have somebody go out there and do the comps for them, but they want to make sure that the value is there and that they can make some money. Now in this case, what were they looking for? They was looking for valuation, make sure that the value was strong, because I was trying to sell this portfolio for $2 million, of which I knew that I could pick it up from John for at least $1.1 million. Okay, that's where we're going to start, but that's not where we're going to end, like I told you guys before. So basically, I got them interested in buying this portfolio, but after they came back, they said, Kenny, we're really interested in this portfolio, but we can't buy it for $2 million. What's the best price that you'd be willing to sell this portfolio for if we're able to close within 30 days? So this is where the negotiations came in with John. Now that I have somebody interested, now I can go back to Marcus and John and say, okay, hey, I'm interested in buying. I didn't say the Canadians were interested in buying. I said, I'm interested in buying this portfolio. Do you understand? Because they don't know who the Canadians are. And you're acting as a transactional engineer. You're right in the middle, putting these guys together, but you got to be able to structure the deal correctly, and that's what we're going to talk about. So, after they told me I was interested, I went back to John and said, John, I need to know exactly what is the best price you will sell this portfolio for if I can close in the next 30 days. I told him what the Canadians told me. That's it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that. So they said, John said, well, Kenny, if you can give me I think it was like $874,000 in 30 days, I'll sell you this portfolio. So what did I do? I went back to my Canadians and I said, well, hey, what is the best price that you would buy this portfolio for? And they came back at like $1 million or something like that. But because of my ninja negotiation skills, I was able to get them to agree to buy this portfolio for, I think it was like 1 point something million dollars, but we'll get to that in a few seconds, okay? So, they committed, and they said that they would be willing to provide $100,000 earnest money deposit. Now, I need to understand how much money they was willing to commit to the deal, because now I need to go back to John and ask John, hey John, how much money do you need in order for me to lock up this portfolio? John said $100,000 would be fine, because the Canadians had already told me what they was willing to offer, so I was willing to provide that to the particular seller, John, so that I didn't have to come out of my pocket any money. Let me slow up. We still look okay over here, Manietta?
Yes.
Good. Let me share that with you one more time. Are you ready? They were able to provide me with $100,000 earnest money deposit, and John was suffice with that. So what did I have to do? I had to make sure that that $100,000 earnest money deposit was wired to Metro Title. Did it come from my pocket? Did it come from Kenny Rush's pocket? Absolutely not. Who did it come from? Who did it come from? It came from the Canadians that went to the title company for John, not for me, okay? But I had to structure a contract with these people so that we can make sure that everything is chunk tight. So what did I do? I entered into an agreement to buy the portfolio of homes from John. We was able to negotiate a purchase price of $874,000. $874,000. And I was able to get the Canadians to commit to buy the property for $1.25 million. So what is my profit in between? $376,000 profit. That's not net. I still had to pay my closing costs. Let's talk about that right now. So, after they did a 21-day due diligence, they flew into Atlanta, Georgia. In fact, they flew in on their Learjet, a Citation, I believe. They flew in, and we went out and looked at a half a dozen properties. That's all they wanted to look at, and they was comfortable with that, because before they flew in, myself and Dave, who worked for the fund, actually looked at all the properties together, and we went over all the lease agreements. They were buying these properties for cash flow, because all these properties were rented out for Section 8. That's important to understand, okay? Now, you can do this if they're vacant. Some investors prefer that they're vacant as opposed to Section 8 and rental income properties, but in this case, they wanted to get a coupon. They wanted to make sure that they can rent them out for cash flow, and that's why they was willing to buy this portfolio. So, here's what we did. After I was able to engage in a purchase agreement with John for $874,000, I immediately entered into a contract to sell them for $1.25 million, and the money went directly to to Metro Title, in order to be able to complete the earnest money obligation. So, here's what we did. When the money came to purchase the portfolio, we did what is called a back-to-back closing. Some people may refer to it as a simultaneous closing. Back-to-back closing, simultaneous closing, double closing, whatever you want to name it. Something like that. So, the Canadians, they wired the money, the balance of the money, in addition to the $100,000 that was already there to do the due diligence, directly to Metro Title. That was the first thing. And then what happened is I closed out the first deal. I closed out the first deal between myself and John. But I used the Canadians' money in order to do that, okay? So I closed out on John's deal using the Canadians' money, okay? I got permission from them in order to be able to do that. They said, Kenny, they don't mind if I use their money in order to be able to close out the deal, because I asked them, I said, hey, I can use your money as opposed to my own and close out this deal. Is that okay with you? Absolutely, as long as we're able to honor the price of $1.25 million. Most of the time, it doesn't matter, but sometimes it's best just to make sure that you cover your butt and cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure that you structure things correctly. In this case, the Canadians had no problem at all whatsoever. So we closed out on the first deal, sell it to Kenny, but I also want to make sure that whenever you close out on the first deal, if you're doing a double closing, you're going to have seller's closing costs, okay? So there's going to be two sets of closing costs when you buy the properties and when you sell the properties. In this case, when I bought the properties, I had closing costs, and then I immediately closed out and sold the properties directly from me to the Canadians, and I made $376,000 just like that in less than 30 days, and you can do the exact same thing. Now, I wanted to make sure that I quickly put together this presentation, but if you're interested in learning more about how you can structure deals just like this, now all deals are going to make you $376,000. You may start off by understanding the fundamentals of just how to invest in real estate, starting off with no cash or credit. When I first got started in real estate, I made over $250,000 in my first year, basically without using any of my own money, any of my own credit, and nor did I advertise and do bandit signs or billboards or radio commercials or direct mail. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. The only thing I did was prospect. That's the first thing I did in Bird Dog for other investors who are looking for properties that they can buy for their own portfolio. If you're interested in learning more about how to become a sophisticated real estate investor, the only thing you have to do is click the link somewhere on this email, on this page, or wherever you got this, and I'm going to allow you to get started for only $25 per month. I'm going to give you a free 7-day trial to my Level 1 Tycoon Mastermind Club, which is a phenomenal program with over 1,400 students right now learning strategies just like this on how to invest in real estate. Hey, we are here at the Rushent Mansion. I appreciate you guys' time, and I hope that this helps you. And if you have any additional questions, concerns, you can email me at kenny@kennyrushent.com. You can always DM me on Instagram. You can private message me on Facebook. You guys have a productive day, and I'll see you soon.